helpless now to be able to locate the self. Now, if I can become aware of that functioning, now I'm free. I only need to become aware of that functioning of the mind that wants to locate self in time and space. Ordinarily, one would locate themselves in time and space and then work with that or define themselves as that. And that will always bring a sense of dissatisfaction and struggle in a person. Where the liberation is, which is always our point, where is the point of liberation? In seeing the mechanism that wants to locate and then label me. That's the mechanism. That's what the mind mechanism does. Then I ask myself, am I bound to this mechanism? Does this mechanism express me? No. I'm more than just this label. From locating myself, I'm in this realm. I'm in that ring. It is like the lake saying, I'm this ripple only. It's too small. So when we make ourselves small, when we locate ourselves here, but not there, when we locate this moment here and not there, then we will be in a state of struggle. So we cannot locate ourselves everywhere. The mind doesn't know how to do that. It's helpless. Self is everywhere. It's going to go, what? You can grasp it as a theory, but you'll never grasp it truly with the mechanism that is of locating and labeling. So what is the solution? Recognize what is that mechanism. And as Nisargadatta said, cease being deceived by it. When you are not deceived by it, meaning it does not locate and label me. Just by doing that practice, it becomes self-evident. You cannot know self by finding its location. It is in knowing thoroughly the range and the spectrum from gross to subtle is inadequate to describe me, to find me. And we know it, like you are skilled with tools, Prakash. You know that if you have a screw, like in India, they hammer in screws. They don't screw in screws. They can't be bothered, so they hammer it. You see, you laugh. Trying to think of something they do in India, which is insane. If you went and watched carpentry in India, it would really cause you a lot of delight, so long as they weren't working on your house. But it's the same thing. It's delightful when you see the mechanism and how inadequate it is to define me, to know me. So the point is always, how do you know yourself? So the answer is, you are yourself. So you said it exactly, because I know Prakash has been searching and seeking and learning and meditating for a long time, many years even before I met him. So you never find yourself. It is a practice and a deepening of that trust in yourself that needs not to be located, labeled, or described. I am myself. Cannot find yourself. You are yourself, and that is why self is throughout. So sometimes we have to learn these formulas from the scriptures, which I know you have learned a lot. They're helpful to a certain degree, and then at a certain point, you have to look again. It means you've matured beyond the formulas. Your meditation has now opened naturally through your meditation, through your value that you give to satsang, regardless of when you attend, how you attend, but just I know you have ultimate value for satsang. And this expands us actually beyond any formula that you can read in these spiritual texts. They're helpful only to a stage. And that's why they say knowing self is self-evident. It is self that recognizes self. And this is completely contrary to how we've been taught to know something, because we've learned to know something through the mind that sees an object or sees a concept. I said concept because it's a form more subtle than an object, but it's still an object. So our learning has been through subject, me, I, know an object. This is how we have learned to relate to everything, whether it's a solid object or a more subtle perception. It is still subject, object. I know. So you're right. You say the more I learn, actually, the less I know. In my early 40s, I went through a phase where I also felt the knowledge was completely stripped away from me. And I really thought, what have I been doing for 20 years at that time? You know? But I look back now, and I think that was such an important phase, although at the time I felt I had lost my knowledge. And I felt very lost. And I could feel myself grasping onto all kinds of ways to try and find myself that were inadequate, because I continued to meditate throughout. And I continued to keep observing and looking and questioning. And because of that, I realized now I was not lost at all. It was only a transition, actually, from theoretical knowledge to self-evidence. And that's what emerged after that phase. A self that cannot be taken away from self. Is that helpful, Paul?
Absolutely helpful. Thank you.
Oh, that's great.
I just want to try and tie into the love,
Yeah,
the center of it all.
yes,
It's at that center core
yes,
of it all. So I'm saying, okay, self being at the center of who I am, and the self that shows love to others and to feel that love back to you. Now, is there any validity in what I'm saying here?
yes,
Or
totally.
yeah.
Once you are expanding to see how all permeating self is, then you can say, yes, it's synonymous with love.
Right.
But we have to know what is self, what is love, in order to realize they are synonymous.
Right. Okay.
Nice, lovely.
Let's go with that.
Wonderful. I also remember many times I would ask Swamiji a question, and I would feel frustrated because I would feel the question wasn't answered. And only once I became quite a bit older, I started coming to see that actually he was stripping away my concepts of self. And there's a really nice story from the scriptures, and it helped me to understand what I think the stage you're at or what you're facing in yourself. There's a nice story that there were two ants, and one ant was collecting salt. They lived near the ocean, and the ant was collecting salt grains and making a pile of salt. And the salt ant was very proud of his pile of salt. And then another ant came and was making an anthill out of sugar cubes, little sugar grains. And they started fighting. Whose was the best anthill? And so they couldn't resolve their conflict. So someone, maybe another neighbor, was tired of them fighting. And he said, you should both go to the guru ant, who lives up there in the mountain away from the ocean, and you have to go and talk to her. She knows. So they went off with their little bag of salt and the other one with a little bag of sugar, and they went to the guru ant and presented their fight. Which one is right? which is the best ant, which is the right ant. And the Guru said, before you hear the teachings, there is a lake here. Both of you go to the lake and wash your mouths with the fresh water, and then come back and ask your question. I see how valuable it is to understand this word pure, because water has really no taste. Try and describe the taste of water. It's difficult. But if you put tea in that water, it's easy to describe the taste of tea. If you put coffee in that water, it's easy to describe the taste of coffee. If you put juice in that water, it's easy to describe the taste of whatever juice that is. But it's very difficult to describe the taste of water. So our human experience is like that. Whatever we have tasted, meaning whatever has been our experiences and our whole bank of knowledge that we have in the form of ideas and concepts and memories and all kinds of formalities of our traditions, so much knowledge we have acquired. We know so much. I always remember that too as a child, thinking, how do adults know so much? But just by value of living a long time on earth, you learn a lot of things. So this knowledge of things is the sugar and the salt, is the tea and the coffee. What is love truly, and what is knowledge truly, is that which is pure. It has no description, and yet can absorb the other tastes. So in order to know love, one has to know self. In order to know self, one has to know what is pure. Because the word that comes to describe self very often is this word should, S-H-U-D-H. Should. Not should, S-H-O-U-L-D. But this in Sanskrit, should, which means pure, like water is pure, regardless of what taste it absorbs. In other words, H2O remains the same. Put coffee in H2O or put tea in H2O. H2O remains pure. How much we have seen the different phases of being really feeling like, wow, it's all this amazing puzzle of self is really clear, and it's almost like sparkling because all the pieces are coming together, and you're feeling really like, whoa, this is amazing how this is all fitting together. And then other times it can seem like you're in a dark forest and you can't see the path forward. It's all still pure self. A lot of the maturing of this knowledge is to be stripped away of our concepts, salty or sweet. So in order to really understand, or to realize, which is a much better word than understand, because understanding is still the subject and the object way of learning. I know something, but the realization, what do you realize? I have always been here. It has always been me. I never had to actually gain myself. The play of gain and loss was like the sugar and the salt. But when I wash away, and that's what each meditation does. So let's take a moment in meditation. It is beautiful that Paul brought this. It's more than a question. He brought himself. And he's very pure in this way to allow certain patterns of scriptural knowledge that helped us at one point. But sometimes then that structure became too fixed. And like salt or sugar, we needed to just take a moment. As soon as you close your eyes, Where are you located? You don't even see your own body. You feel something that you call body. But otherwise, the idea of body is only in your memory. Can you be located as a memory? Are you only defined by your memory? What is realized in meditation is your ever-presence. Has no form, therefore no location, subtle or gross, seen or unseen. It is presence. You are there. You are present to yourself. In meditation, we practice not holding on to either the sugar or the salt. I am spiritual. I'm spiritually advanced. I'm spiritually hindered. I'm grasping. I'm not grasping. I'm evolving. I'm not evolving. They are all the sugar and the salt which flavor the purity. Meditation is a kind of washing away of all those opposites. Washing away the polarity of this and that. Washing away the polarity and the division. I am this, not that. I am that, not this. Because between the two ants there was conflict. We are not meditating in order to know something. We are meditating in order to release our delusions from unnecessary struggle. Pure self, pure love, pure being, pure knowing, as opposed to subject knowing object. Take a few minutes knowing that regardless of how many thoughts of sugar and thoughts of salt, thoughts of tea, thoughts of coffee, regardless of what arises to be seen, seer you, see yourself is pure, unlocatable, yet present. So fully present, permeates each atom of this moment. Pure is also free from this moment beginning or ending, for there's no beginning and ending in presence. So it is pure, pure presence. Trust yourself. You are present.